you ever really wondered what a DevOps engineer does all day? Well, let's pull back the curtain and dive into one of the most vital and honestly most misunderstood roles in all of tech. Right away, we need to get one thing straight. If you're picturing someone who just deploys code or manages a few servers, you're barely scratching the surface. It is so much more than that. The reality is way more interesting. This quote really just nails it. A DevOps engineer's life is this constant juggling act. One minute, you're putting out an unexpected fire. The next, you're building systems to make sure that fire can never happen again. And all the while, you're the glue holding development and operations together. At its absolute core, this role is about being the ultimate problem solver for the modern age. But what's the big problem they're solving? Well, it's a problem that used to bring innovation to a dead stop. So, what does this look like in the real world, day in and day out? What are the actual tasks, the real pressures? That's what we're about to break down. We're going to follow the clock, from the chaos of the morning all the way to those late-night alerts. Okay, so to truly get DevOps, you got to understand what came before. It used to be this battle, right? You had developers who needed to ship new stuff fast. And then you had the operations team whose job was to keep everything stable and not let it break. This created this infamous wall of confusion, which just meant friction and endless delays. DevOps, as you can see, isn't a team. It's a bridge. It brings these two worlds together for one smooth, collaborative workflow. The day for a DevOps engineer almost never starts with a quiet cup of coffee. Nope. It kicks off by taming whatever chaos decided to pop up overnight. This is the reactive part of the job, and the stakes can be super high. First things first is the daily stand-up meeting. The team gets together to, take the pulse of the entire system. Were there any critical alerts while we were sleeping? Did anything go down? How are our error rates looking? It's basically a full system health check before the real work can even begin. And almost every single time, the conversation lands on a scenario just like this one. The classic, dreaded 3 a.m. alert. This is where that abstract idea of system health suddenly becomes a very real, very urgent problem that needs fixing now. This story from one of the engineers we looked at just brings that feeling to life, doesn't it? That panic. It's not just some red light on a dashboard. It's a race against the clock. You're trying to debug this massively complex system, usually with just bits and pieces of information, all while the business is counting on you to fix it. But here's the thing. This isn't just random panic. It's a highly structured process, just like you see here. It all starts with a signal, maybe an alert from a tool like Grafana says CPU usage is spiking. That instantly triggers a notification in a Slack channel, which then pages the on-call engineer and kicks off the whole investigation. It's like a detective story, but the clues are all data points. All right, so once the morning's fires are put out, the whole focus of the day shifts. You go from reacting to problems to proactively building a better, stronger, and more efficient future. And the absolute key to all this proactive work is a game-changing concept called infrastructure as code, or IAC. Think about it. Instead of a person manually clicking around in a console to set up servers and networks, which is slow and full of potential errors, you define the entire environment in code. It's like a blueprint. This makes your infrastructure repeatable, scalable, and just way less likely to have human mistakes. This is how you build for the future. Now, the very heartbeat of all modern software development, it's the CI/CD pipeline. That stands for continuous integration in continuous delivery. Simply put, it's the automated assembly line for software, and DevOps engineers are its architects. It all starts when a developer pushes new code. From there, it gets automatically built and tested. If it passes, it gets approved and deployed. The whole point is to make this process so quick and reliable, you can release new value to your users multiple times a day, not just once every few months. And here's where the magic really happens, with the tools. So a developer pushes code to Git. That one action automatically kicks off a workflow in something like GitHub Actions that builds the new app version as a Docker image and runs a ton of automated tests. If it all looks good, a tool like Argo CD then carefully rolls out the new version to the production Kubernetes cluster. Every single step is automated and tracked. But with all this incredible automation, with all these amazing tools, we can't forget one thing. This entire system is designed, built, and run by people. And that introduces a whole different kind of risk. You'd probably think the biggest danger in a system this complex is some sneaky bug in the code or a server suddenly failing. But you know what? More often than not, the real cause of a disaster is something way, way more basic. That's right, miscommunication. I mean, huge, catastrophic failures, like the Piper Alpha oil rig disaster, were traced back to a simple breakdown in communication during a shift change. When people don't talk to each other clearly, even the best automated systems in the world can't save you. The human part is absolutely critical. And this is exactly why professional engineers have such strict rules for handovers. As you see here, it has to be a two-way conversation, using both verbal and written notes. It's not just about firing off a quick email and calling it a day. It's a formal, serious transfer of responsibility to make sure nothing important gets lost in translation. And that responsibility? It definitely doesn't end at 5 p.m. The systems that DevOps engineers manage are the lifeblood of a company, which brings us to another core truth of this job. Let's be real, businesses today run 24/7, and so their systems have to as well. That means somebody always has to be on call, ready to jump on a critical problem, whether it happens at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning. The system never sleeps, so the team watching it can't either. And when something does go wrong, there's a clear playbook, as you can see right here. It all starts with a trigger that sends an alert. The on-call engineer investigates to figure out what's going on. They put in a fix to get things working again as fast as possible. But maybe the most important step is the last one, a blameless root cause analysis, or RCA, to learn from what happened and make sure it never, ever happens again. So, after walking through a whole day, from the morning firefighting to building the future to handling those middle-of-the-night alerts, you might be starting to wonder, hey, is this a role that might actually fit me? You know, it really comes down to these four things. You have to be a relentless problem solver, someone who actually enjoys digging into those tricky puzzles. You've got to have a passion for automation, always thinking, how can I make sure nobody ever has to do this task manually again? You have to be a great collaborator, that bridge between different teams. And finally, because this tech changes so fast, you just have to be a dedicated, lifelong learner. If all of that sounds like you, well then the world of DevOps might be exactly where you belong. It's tough, it's high impact, but you're not just maintaining things, you are literally building, automating, and fixing the very backbone of our digital future.